Heyo, everybody. We are back to a Dash Reading Creators Corner. I got my co-host, Chris Brown here, and we today have special guest, Mr. Kevin Davis of, I'm going to say it right, Keviside?
Yeah, Kevin side.
I, listen, I'm an Okie, man. Sometimes think words don't translate when they come across my screen like that, but we welcome Mr. Kevin and my brother from another mother to the show.
Uh,
Today we're going to be talking a little bit
and
about.
I'm dashing with the
There,
snow.
there you go.
Well,
Nothing
dashing with the
wrong with
hybrids, but yeah,
nothing wrong with dashing through the snow with hybrids.
with hybrids.
Um,
Yep.
but this show is all about Chris and I. We get creators on here, or we just ourselves, and we just talk about things creativity. So, and this show came, or the topic for today came about the other day. Kevin asked me about dialogue a little bit, especially when it comes to writing for military. And I was sitting there. I was like, I've got this all nice and neat and written out for him. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to save this for the. I mean, he's literally on the show for Sunday,
True.
and we'll just talk about it then. That way, because other people might have the same question, especially when it comes to dialogue and
What's up, pops?
how you write dialogue, and we'll all do dialogue different. I guarantee it. So the main thing is when you're writing dialogue, and then I'll get into how you write for your comic book and how Chris does, but I'll answer you right off the bat. As far as writing military dialogue, try to stay away. Number one, try to stay away from the movie dialogue. So certain things like "Stay Frosty." 99% of us military guys. I think I probably said "Stay Frosty" a couple times in there, but we use things like keep your head on a swivel. You'll see me say that a lot of times, especially when
Right.
weather's coming, because that's just something that was drilled into us. But
Mhm.
stay away
Gotcha.
from the cliches. That's the biggest one. But like I said, we'll get into all that. But let's talk about realism and fiction first, and then we'll
Okay.
get more into the dialogue. And
It's like I'm writing notes while you're talking.
you go ahead, man. That's what this is all about. Chris and I have had so many discussions. I have notebooks full of stuff that he tells me how to do things, which I love. So it's all good.
Oh, and can I just want to say 10 out of 10, by the way.
I
All right, 10
appreciate
out of
that.
10. This is
Appreciate that.
such a fun read. And about I wanted to talk about military because reading your book, it got me very interested about military, and
Yeah.
I'm always want to challenge myself into like different type of stories.
And-
And so, especially one of my monster comics has like a military storyline in it. So I
yeah.
want to make sure I'm actually doing it right and not doing like what Hollywood does.
The only
Uh,
thing you the only thing you can do wrong
mm,
with military dialogue
mm,
is really nothing. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you.
mm,
We talk normal. I mean, we use a lot
mm.
of cuss words like the F word. Like I had to
It's like a space bar.
right. It's like for
Ah,
my performance evals, I had to say the F bomb 47 different ways to get signed off on my performance reports. I kid you not. That's joking, but I think Nem and I were talking about that the other day. It's like we use a lot of cuss words, and it's just that's just life. But really, there's no. But we'll go into it. Like I said, there are certain things that you can say. Like you're obviously not going to use older slang because the military is going to grow with your time. It's kind of like what Chris and I were talking about. If realism and fiction, let's just go there. If you're writing a fantasy novel,
Mhm.
or you're writing a fantasy movie, or whatever the case may be, this is a dash opinion, and if you like it, great. You guys can throw it in the comments if you disagree with me or agree with me. If you're writing a fantasy novel, I don't want to hear a Gen Z, Gen X boomer language. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You know where
yeah,
I'm going. I don't want to hear slang that the generation. So you go in, you go to Tolkien. He didn't have the 40s slang, the 50s slang, 60s slangs. He had old
right,
English. He had old English words. Even
yeah.
if you look at George R. R. Martin, which I gave, if you guys aren't paying attention, I gave him his weekly update this week. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. That was hilarious.
even George R. R. Martin doesn't use any modern slang in there, and I've noticed in certain sci-fi fantasy lately, and in the last couple of years, where they're just using slang. So my question for you is, does that bother you, or do you want, when I say realism, do you want realism as far as the time period that you're set in? Like, you're not going to go back and write, you're not going to redo Jane Eyre and put slang unless you update it to a Jane Eyre in the 2020s. Now, you're not going to go back and write the old English type, the original. You're not going to rewrite it or whatever the case may be
Mhm.
and put modern slang in there. So, Chris, what do you think?
Um, I think that you should use the language that's appropriate to the individual. So, for instance, if they're from the Deep South, let them talk like that if that's the way they speak. Now, there is a book, a series that I'll be honest with you, I like it. It's a bit on the raunchier kind of side, but it's funny as all get out. Called Critical Failures, and what they did is these guys are playing D&D, and they brought in a new dungeon master who was just the single worst person. Right? Picture the worst dungeon master. Well, he had. Well, no. He had magic dice then, and when he gave the dice to the people, rolled them, they went into his world. So they are real people stuck in a fantasy world. I think in those kind of instances, having whatever modern slang would be appropriate because the people are modern.
Right.
The people in the world don't have that kind of slang
Yeah,
because they're from there. So it all depends on the person and not the setting. Because, like you were saying about military, if we brought in a chaplain, and yes, I know some chaplains that are, pretty curse heavy, but
I've met a few.
or if
Trust
this,
me.
yeah, if this individual makes it part of his personality that he doesn't do it, then it's okay.
Yeah.
It's again, that's why I always believe it's the person and not the setting that would dictate.
So, let me ask you, Kevin. I mean, what do you think? Are you okay with watching? Let's say, we just got the new Duncan Egg. We got that new George R. R. Martin, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Would you have been okay if, say, they had talked like Gen Xers, or do you want, when you're going to turn on a Game of Thrones type TV show, do you want that style language, or do you want them to stay true to what George R. R. Martin wrote?
honestly, I'll always stay true to the source material first.
Yeah.
Especially like in that type of world, the Gen X language wouldn't really make sense to me, or like the Gen Z language.
Right.
Especially look at the time period too. So I was like, the language is a completely different thing. So if it was some type of Gen X or Gen Z language, I would turn it off instantly.
Right. You don't want Sir Duncan coming out going, "Hey, egg, no Riz, no cap."
Yeah.
So yeah.
And plus slang gets annoying very easily with it.
Mm.
And I just can't. I'm like, can you speak English for God's sake? Jesus Christ! I'm like, if you're just continue speaking slang, I'm not gonna talk to you, because I want like a proper conversation and not just random words that people make up on TikTok or stuff, whatever they get it from.
So that's
So yeah.
that's step number one towards your notes there to or for that. You can use for military. You can use slang, but it should not be their entire speak.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So we might say, foobar, and you can figure out what fu means there. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's we might use that, or we might say he's and it's a lot of our slang is mixed with everything. So we'll say somebody's salty because they're angry or things like that. So the first thing when you build your characters
Mhm.
is you have to decide, and this goes no different than the comic characters that you've already written.
Mhm.
If you're writing a horror novel, you're going to have the I like to call the Scoob Gang. You're going to have the leader. You're going to have the smarty. You're going to have the
Mm-hmm.
one that runs upstairs all the time. And so you're
Mhm.
gonna build their language off that. So decide on when you're writing military slang or military characters. Think about um, what you want this character. So like you saw Archer. Archer is very he's dealing with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Seriously, he's
Oh
dealing
yeah.
with a lot of stuff. He's dealing with
Yeah.
so his a lot of his language seems to feed us at times.
Mhm.
And then you have Zorro. Zorro and he's the smartass. So Zorro has all the one-liners.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you could write a military person the same way that you write a Scoob character. You're just putting it into um, the terminology. So there's great lists of slang, of military slang. You can go on there and do that. But I wrote you up some, and I will send it to you later. Some of the like some of the ones that I use, but it's probably universal. But the Marines have certain slang. The Army has certain slang. The Navy has certain slang. So you got to decide, hey, is my team all military or all
Mm-hmm.
Marines? Is it all Army? Like I had an Air Force guy in there, so he talked a little bit, uh, you know, scientifically. He was the major. He was the tech. He was a tech dude. So I made him talk tech. I'm not even a tech guy. I had to look that stuff up.
Yeah. I'm not a
So
tech guy either. Oh my
so let
god.
me ask.
Yeah.
So Chris, am I far off as far as the way you were writing your main characters for Slaughterville? I mean, you could probably get away with modern stuff, but you still have to kind of stay true to the trope. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even before you get into the dialogue or anything, is you have to establish who and what that character is.
Mhm.
Like with Carolyn, she was always the rebel, the hard ass, and that's how she would speak,
Mhm.
right? But then you had Reese, who was Indian, not Native American one, and but from Great Britain. I said he was
Yes.
India by way of Great Britain, and so he has a certain way of speaking, which is more proper, clipped, or not so much of the jokes.
Hey Ryan.
So yeah, it's understanding and knowing who your characters are that will help you to understand and how they're going to speak. And yes, dear God, if I hear one more person talk about or in the movies when you see them shoot the monitor and they're like, "Ha, we destroyed the computer," I'm like, dude, fella,
Oh my god.
IT
Oh my
stuff
god.
hurts me in movies so bad.
Oh, yeah. As IT hurts you, listen, we just so Alan Rickson just did that new one that came out on was it Netflix the other day? I can't remember.
Yeah,
If it was
I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, I wanted to
the
see it.
the
Yeah, I
the death.
appreciate you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, they are awesome. So it just as a military guy, it just really irks me sometimes. The movie's fine, for the
Hmm.
most part. I mean, there's some things that I have some issues with as a military person, but um, they handled it well. I think there was some lacking of military uh, bearing and lack of military oversight from
Yeah.
Hmm.
because you always
Wait,
get
give me one
experts.
second.
what is the name of that movie? You guys gonna drive me nuts. Hold on, I'll tell you, Ryan. Because
But I know, yeah.
it's not Death March. It's let's see. He just did.
But yeah, I think as long as you understand character, who the character is, where they're from, what they're like, even if, like you said, if they have some kind of an emotional trauma that might influence how they're talking.
Yeah.
Maybe they were had a near-death experience and it turned them from,
happy
into a more flippant kind of person. Like,
Yeah.
now we don't care about anything. We're just
Yeah,
gonna blow everything off and party all the time.
Yeah, like one of my lead characters, his backstory, he has like PTSD from being in the military,
Mhm.
and
So you're gonna
he has like them type of nightmares from the war that he went through, and he actually becomes like a John Wick type of assassin, like try to escape those demons in a way.
well, that's one way, but don't ride him. He's still gonna be closed off.
Yeah,
Okay, he's going.
that's
to be,
that's exactly who he is. Yeah.
He's going to be closed off. He's going to. So one of the ways you can do it is he compartmentalizes everything in his head.
Yeah.
So he may be on a mission, but and something may happen, and he won't talk about it. He's going to store it away. So that's one way you can do it. Ryan, to give you the answer to what movie it's called, War Machine.
Yeah,
it is on.
With Alan.
Yeah,
from
Alan,
Reacher.
yeah, with
Yeah.
Reacher.
Reacher. I said Reacher. Yeah, from Reacher. I haven't really seen it yet.
They don't have any real live ammo, but all of a sudden these combat vehicles that they have come in are fully loaded with real ammo. So that's one issue I have because they're on a training mission. So none of that stuff would have had real ammo. But I digress. So one of the best ways to do that is just research your on PTSD with soldiers. PTSD is going to affect everybody differently. As somebody who may have survived a beat down or anything like that, like got in a fight and got really beat up, their PTSD is going to be a little bit different. Military is going to be a little bit different.
Okay.
A sexual assault survivor, I don't want to say that too loud because YouTube will probably kick us off.
Right.
Their PTSD is going to be a little bit different, so they're all going to handle it different ways. But for the most part, your guy, have him standoffish maybe to certain people, or to maybe he only opens up to one person, or maybe he doesn't open up to any people. That's the realism that you're looking for, because I've seen people that talk about characters that have PTSD and they're just running around telling everybody, and that's not something that, because I have it, I've dealt with it, I'm still dealing with it. I mean, as you can tell, that's what I do with my anxiety and dealing with it, but it affects everybody differently. So you just got to handle the character. So you got one with PTSD. That's great. What other kind of things have you got in there? Go ahead, Chris, before I jump in there.
I was going to say, instead of just saying he has it, why does he have it?
Right.
Because I knew somebody who I don't want to say seemed, but he acted, and I could tell it was an act the way he was speaking. But when I finally got to talk to the guy, because again, I'm trained in the psych stuff. Here he had to look down the scope while a dad and his kid were coming at him, and he shot once in front of the dad on the ground and told him to stop, but he was running right to the base, so he hit the dad right in the chest, and the guy exploded and took the kid with him.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why does he have the PTSD?
Yeah, and
yeah, that's where I'm kind of like the route I'm going. Like I don't like just tell you, actually show his backstory of why he's the way he is.
But as long as you know, that's what's important.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know where I want to go with it, but I just don't like, I don't want to disrespect like the military at all.
I don't think you will. I don't think you will, unless you just, like I said, really just don't make it his entire character.
Yeah.
Don't make it his entire. I mean, as you see with Archer, he still was able to function
Oh yeah, yeah. My character, he still can function, but
Yeah.
he's just more of a introverted, secluded person
That's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. Just
because
make it.
he's still dealing with those demons
Yeah.
in his head. And so the story I'm trying to I'll tell people like in my stories I kind of like show like bring awareness of mental health in a way.
Mhm.
So I try to like try different ways to show how people deal with mental health from what
Hmm.
battle they're dealing with, and I just want to show it from like a military person aspect that
I
to show what they go through.
I think the
Or
only
some
way
people
you
go through.
I think the only way you offend them is if you make fun of it.
Mhm.
If you downplay it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's the only
I don't plan
way.
on that. This is not
Yeah.
a
No.
comedy. I do not plan.
No. I
I'm
don't.
not,
I
but
personally
yeah.
think that's just me. I think that's just one way you might be able to offend somebody. But
Okay.
I think the majority of your military members know, and they're not going. All you're doing is bringing to light. As long as you don't, like I said, as long as you don't make fun of it and you're talking about it, you're just bringing to light that it is an issue,
Mhm.
and that's a good thing. You can never not have enough attention on what the soldiers and everything they go through. Go ahead, Chris. Or,
And speaking of the making fun, yeah, there are definitely some friend groups, mine among them, who will say the single worst, most horrifyingly bad things to you, but they mean it with, they're just messing around. And if anybody else were to say it to you, they would, smack them around.
Right.
So it all depends on, again, what the type of personality is, what the dynamic is within the group.
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. There's lots of things I still haven't told my wife, and we've been together be 11 years.
About us.
Well, that about us, yes. I think she has her suspicions, but I'm not. No, but so make it realistic. Like I said, there's going to be people he doesn't tell. There may be just only one person he does. Just as long as you keep it, you know, in the realm
Mm-hmm.
of realism there with PTSD. Like I said, you're not
Mhm.
going to offend anybody, and it's good to really bring light to it. So I think you've uh, got it. I think you got it. I think you got the great start of where you're going, and so
I'm probably
don't.
going to send the script over to you just to
Yeah,
get your
uh,
eyes on it and what
yeah,
the story is.
absolutely. I love doing that. So shoot it to me anytime you want.
And like
Um,
I've always wanted to do this because I'm a big fan of Tyler Sheridan,
yeah.
and so like I love how he tells his stories and like Lioness
The
and like
Lioness is one you need to watch. Then
yeah, I love Lioness.
stay away from some of their lingo.
Noted. Okay,
There,
noted.
no, I think he 13. No, Horse Soldiers.
Mhm,
Horse Soldiers is one I believe that he was acted in, and I think he was part of it.
mhm,
I think he was part of the production and things like that.
mhm.
That's a good one to base some of your uh, lingo on. Because even still, even I went back to like Predator. I
Yeah.
mean, I have my lingo, but I went back to Predator to see how some of those type of guys act. So
Mhm.
is it cheating? Absolutely no. It's research, ladies and gentlemen. It's research.
And like
So yeah,
I also like grew up on like the NCIS Criminal Minds type of shows too,
Mm-hmm.
and just
yeah,
and so many other type of shows like I think the Terminal List that came out a couple years
Mm-hmm.
ago.
yeah. Terminal
Uh,
List is a good one.
with,
That one
that's
and watch the
with Chris
prequel too.
Pratt and Taylor Kitsch, I think it is.
Yeah, yeah. Terminal List. Watch that
Uh,
one. Watch the
yeah,
prequel with Taylor Kitsch in it. That's a good one.
that's the Dark
And
Wolf
yeah,
or
the
something like
dark.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But yes, I'm sorry, Ryan. It's sometimes we do get into heavy topics,
Yeah, because
but
the story I'm writing is a bit heavy.
yeah.
That's why I'm talking to Dash and Chris about it because it's my first time writing something like this. Because I don't, I'm like, because I'm just getting research as I continue
There you go.
crafting the story together. And,
Absolutely.
it's probably going to be a one shot because it's going to be a intense story. I don't want to like milk the franchise. People say,
Never say one shot. Never say one shot because
oh yeah, well
it
yeah,
turns. I I say this and I'm not kidding. I literally said I'm working on something now. I passed it by Chris and I'm like I'm only going. It went from one volume. Now I've got 4 volumes already outlined, already
I did say
planned.
might
Yeah,
be one shot. I didn't say it is one shot. I said might.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I legit have stories. I'm saying it's gonna be a one shot. I have
You-
like 20 issues in my head for it for a story.
Because
Like,
I
God
guarantee you,
dang it.
somebody's gonna go. What happens next?
It's like,
What
fuck.
happens next? You're like,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, I do it to Chris, even though I know he's already got it written out and everything. I'm like, what happens next? So it's kind of why I said, hey, I know a fourth book is coming. So get
Oh
on it.
yeah.
It's
Oh
basically
yeah.
what that was. Is get on it and give it to me now. No. So let me ask you this: since when you're writing, Kevin, when you're writing your comics and things, how do you do your dialogue then with your characters? What do you base it off of? Is it something you've overheard? Is it something that you've watched in a movie? Is it something that you're just? I have some. I mean, I think Chris can back me up. This is some of these are conversations I've had in my head.
Yeah.
Especially when I talk to myself. So, and I do answer myself, and we have business meetings. I got
Yeah.
all the questions answered right there. So, how do you do it? How do you write your character?
So it depends on the story. Um, so for example, with Arcfire is my first series. Simply I did like a thought bubble
Mhm.
where the characters asking like, "Who am I?" or "Why am I here?" or like, "Where the hell am I?" And then I also put my mind into the character themselves, and I kind of switch like I turn a switch to depend on each character because I want each one to have a different voice. So sometimes it's like I get inspired by a show on TV, or I'm just having a random conversation with myself in the mirror. I was like, it's like I'm having like a Bray Wyatt type of thing where I was like alter ego in
There's
a
nothing
way,
wrong. Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I'm like this character is more of a calm, collected, introverted person or
Mhm.
creature thing when I'm creating.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, his dialogue can be very low because he doesn't talk much, which is basically kind of sort of me because I barely talk outside of stuff. I was like, okay. Then I'm like, okay, she's very loud and annoying, so I need to make sure that she talks too much. But I
So you've
always
been
try to
talking
make
to
sure
my
that.
sister, haven't you? You've been talking to my sister.
Oh my god! Oh my god! But I always try to make it balance out so the bubble won't be too huge for the page because I want you to see the action while the story is going. And so like one of my upcoming comedies I call Tinseltown Terror I told Chris about. That's going to be a whole different challenge because it's a horror comedy, kind of like my scary movie spoof thing type
Yeah,
of
there you
comic
go.
where I'm making fun of Hollywood.
So see there, you're gonna have a whole different lingo
Yeah,
because it's gonna be satire, it's
yeah.
gonna be parody, and so that's cool.
And
Um,
I actually asked Chris if I could do like a spoof of his like Redneck Cannibal, and he gave me permission to do it. And so I'm going back and reading his book to understand who
yeah,
his character is, so I can have some fun with it. And Lori gave me permission to do like a spoof of Big James,
there you go.
and she gave me the rule. I'm saying I can easily follow that. And so I was like, that's going to be very interesting. How I can like I know I'm like I know I'm naturally funny, but actually thinking about it and writing it out, it's a whole different challenge because I'm
I
really good at improv.
I think my sister did, Matthew. I know one. I got a couple of things.
Mm.
If you do, you got to have the hot cannibal redneck chick in there because she's hot. And then uh, two, um, just mention that Dash was eaten by a bear because he tried to hug. No, I'm kidding.
I
But
mean, I could do a spoof if you want me to. So,
yeah, you have permission. I don't care. Yeah, I love that. And
but
then
yeah, it really depends on the character. And like my upcoming coming Skin Shifter,
yeah,
that's an alter ego story. And like you like the movie Split, and but is she doesn't have 24 demons in her, but it's just in that concept in a
yeah.
way. And like it just really depends on how dark I want to go and then how sensitive I want to go. Even though sometimes I'm not sensitive at all. I just be straightforward and I just have fun with it. I'm like I always make a joke like with my clown story Halloween. I'm saying if you have a clown phobia, I'm not sorry.
I know.
But
Here's what I know. If I was a character, if if I was a character in your clown one,
mm,
I know the f bomb would be dropped. That like my
most
entire word
definitely.
bubble would just be f bombs because I
Yeah,
hate
most
clowns. And
definitely.
no, I kid. But that's all it takes, and that's what I love. I mean, Chris brought up something earlier, and it was something that I disagreed vehemently with my instructor or my teacher, my professor, however you want to call it.
Mhm.
Because if you're trying to convey a character from another country or from another, or from where you're going to have a Texan or you're going to have a New Yorker. So you want to have your New Yorker sound like, "Hey, yo," he's going to have
Yeah.
the New Yorkese, and then your Texan's going to have that long drawl, and he's going to say, "I like." This is just a dash thing, and if anybody out there wants to disagree with me or agree with me, it's cool. I like when your characters show me their personality in their speech.
Mm.
So if you here's tip number 2 when we're going to when you're writing. If you got a military guy from Texas or from Oklahoma, Alabama, somewhere down in the South, give him that drawl, man. His words are going to say instead of wanting, he's going to say wanting. You wanting? You wanting to go? You know what I'm saying? Give
Yeah.
them the and give
That's
them
actually
some of that
funny. My
personality.
story is based in Texas, by the way.
Go ahead, Chris.
And that's kind of what I did with mine too with the rednecks. Is they have that where it's a lot of apostrophes at the end of their in instead of the ings, because again, so many people are afraid to use contractions or because we're taught that professional writing doesn't use contractions, but dialogue should, because that's how people speak.
I always look at professional writing as I'm writing a essay or I'm writing a non-fiction piece. In your fiction worlds, man, dialogue should never ever be just straight up, because then everybody's going to sound the same.
Yeah, that's why I try to always mix it up.
You're going to have Sally and Carl sounding the same, and Carl's from Texas and Sally's from Maine. It's going to be two different things. They shouldn't sound.
Yeah, like in my story, I have it set like in Texas and Louisiana because they're like, I want to make it two different things.
So have some Cajuns in there.
Exactly.
Have some Cajun talk.
Yeah, and I also got friends from Louisiana, so I know how they talk. And I got friends from Texas, and I know how they're talk. So that's also the other thing with my writing. I hear both sides, so I'm like, okay, this character is based on you because you talk this way, and this character is based on you because you talk this way. So yeah, that's so I get inspired from other people around me because I hear the different dialogues.
And one of the benefits of doing it in a comic book format is you can do, like, have you read any of the Amazing Spider-Man stuff with Tombstone?
I did.
The way, because Tombstone is supposed to be a very soft-spoken kind of a person, and they do that by making all of the letters tiny.
Small letters.
And that helps in
now that makes sense.
Getting that kind of dialogue across in comics. Now with a novel, it's kind of more difficult to do that kind of thing. But
the one thing I learned and I was taught was, if you have a soft-spoken person, you make sure that your description of that person is spot on. He might be, I got Mr. Big O Gruff, 6'12", 290-pound monster, but he talks like a mouse. You can say, you're always giving away, so they know now when they're speaking, because we talked about, in you're writing a comic, I'm going to know that Billy Bob is 220 pounds, 6'6", and I'm going to know that immediately because you've drawn him that way.
Yeah.
Where Chris and I are prose writers, it takes finesse. You got to show more than tell sometimes. So you got to, even though even in the way they talk, you're showing how they are. So, but in turn around, you're sometimes in a comic book, you're going to be like, not be able to it's so weird the way that you would think everything would be universal. Seriously, you would think writing a comic book, writing a prose novel, writing a movie script, you think it would all be universal. Man, I tell you what, I would much rather write a movie script than write a comic book script, because you guys have lots more to do, I think, Because
Yeah, it's the same way, but it's with comics you have to do by panels and not just
right,
straight down the
right,
page.
right, right, and
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
have to translate
and you have to be
everything
very
for the
strict,
artist. Yeah,
descriptive,
and
very
I don't.
descriptive.
I
Yeah.
probably would lose my mind with it. With writing and because I wrote scripts. 90% of my script is probably going to be changed by the time it gets to the director and the producers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And whereas it comes back to say Chris is the director, he might, all right, I want some rewrites on this. It may come back to me.
Mhm.
You as the comic scripter, and then you and the artist are going to go. You got to be to a T, because even if you're off by one, and you get it to the artist, and the artist is like, oh, so I get props. And I've told this to George. I've told this to Lori. I've told it to Nem. All of them. I give you guys props to, especially when it comes to comics, because I don't know if I'd have the patience for. I don't know.
And
Go ahead.
and don't be
It takes a moment to get patience when you start writing a comic script. So yeah.
and don't be afraid to buck the tradition, because if you have that 250-pound, 6'6" redneck coming in chewing a chaw with a bib overalls, have him speak eloquently.
Oh, that would
Have
be
him
fun.
speak like he was from Yale, right? Because that's just gonna like Bane, right? You don't expect
Yeah.
Bane to be
Bane is very eloquent.
yeah. But the idea is just because they look a certain way doesn't mean they have to speak a
Yeah.
certain way either.
Yeah.
I love. Yeah, I absolutely love that. That's something I have yet to do. Somewhere down the line, I will get that done. But I mean, a lot of your dialogue should just, I've overheard conversations in restaurants that have sparked the way certain people talk in my novels. Um, uh, I listen to my wife talk about work, and that's influenced certain ways that I write. And so you just get, that's what I love about being a writer, no matter what medium you're in. Everything
Sure.
is an
Oh yeah.
influence.
That's why I was sad when malls went away, because you saw how many
Oh,
different kinds of people in malls.
yeah.
You could just hang out, because that's all we did was hang out in malls, and you just listen to how people are chatting.
Yeah, that's that. I know a lot. I think that's why people go. It's not they don't go into Starbucks because it's peaceful. They go into Starbucks to overhear
Mm-hmm.
conversations on phones. They go to overhear the baristas and the customers. But yeah, I
Heck,
mean,
I even go into a movie theater when I see a group of people on one side. I listen to how they're talking, and then I see their friends on the other side. I'm like, there are two different dialogues going on, and I'm not trying to listen, but it's just be funny hearing how
uh,
both sides are different intellects.
yeah, and never ever be afraid. I know people say that never ever be afraid to put yourself in there. You don't have to make the whole book about you, but never ever be afraid to put yourself in there in some way or shape or form. Um,
That's kind of how I do with my Arcfire because my lead character is kind of based off me a bit
There you go.
because he's going on a journey of trying to find himself.
Holy rusted metal, Batman! I know all you guys. Oh, Raph,
Oh my god.
you're coming back. You're coming back someday, right, Raph? I mean, I didn't scare you off too bad from the last time we were on here. I love you, Raph. You are a true gentleman and a scholar to our profession, and never stop being who you are. Yeah, there's people. It can be. It doesn't have to be a vanity project. I think a lot of people think that at times, especially when we write, people will be thinking it's a vanity project when it's not. Now don't get me wrong. There's definitely vanity projects, um, but I think as long as you don't overdo it all about you, because I see that a lot lately. I see a lot of it where this book is just me as another character, but I'm ranting about other things that bother me. that's not real. That's not realism. That's realism, but that's not escapism.
Right.
You can have realism and still have escapism and not make it all about you. And I've seen that I've seen that in TV and movies and especially in writing, in novels, comics, you name it.
Look at
Think it's-
Godzilla -1.
Yes.
Right? It's an absolutely absurd concept of Godzilla, but it focuses more on the people and how they're trying to survive around them.
That is a perfect example of where you can have realism but it still be fiction. That is a perfect example. And plus it's a 10 out of 10 movie.
No doubt.
On the dash scale.
Most definitely. That's funny. One of my comics is a kaiju type of story. And now taking your notes, I'm going to go edit it a bit more now, because I'm not understanding the aspect of military, and because when I first wrote it, I just full-fledged. I just wrote like a fantasy that's doing some weird stuff at times, and like a rough draft, because I wanted to try to break down the story, what I want to do. And now I'm in like the final edit of it, and that's also why I asked you about the military and like how you deal with the dialogue and stuff, because I am currently writing a monster one too that's like with the military and like the army and like fighting these kaijus, but also fighting a government organization like Monarch, like in the Godzilla world, like Monarch and stuff like that. And so like that's now is actually really helping a lot with the final edits I'm doing with it. So yeah,
that's good. Yeah, that's what's the best part about being creative. There's so many cool things out there that we can wrap ourselves around and bring it into our own worlds.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
So we've talked about good examples of dialogue. Do you have any examples of bad dialogue? Things like, I've read this and I knew it took me instantly out of it. What is the name? The Fourth Wing. The Fourth Wing is one of these new fantasy. It's not horrible. Don't get me wrong, but this is kind of one of the reasons I said don't bring your Gen Z slang or your Gen X slang. I keep saying Gen Z because it's always my son is Gen Z. But don't bring your generation slang in there. Like I said, Rebecca Yarros, I think is her name. She built a beautiful world. Her world building is fantastic. Her dragons are fantastic. And then you get to her characters and they all speak modern lingo.
Oh boy.
And it takes me out of it. Again, I'm not saying that she's a horrible writer by any means, by any stretch. Like I said, the world building is beautiful. The building up around the characters is beautiful. And when you talk in fantasy or sci-fi, I don't want to go to Podunk Planet in Sector 8 and they talk like they're from 1980 or 1990 or the 2000s or the 2010s. I don't want to hear that. They should have their own. That was what's beautiful about J.R.R. Tolkien, is he created a language. That was what's great about the original Star Trek and creating the Vulcan language. You're building your worlds and you build the languages with it, and you can take it from other real languages, but don't have Worf come up to me and say, "Yo, yeet." You know what I'm saying? I love Worf. But he's not gonna walk up to me and go, "Yeet." He's gonna talk to you like a Klingon. Go ahead, Chris.
Which is why Starfleet Academy sucks balls. But that's but then
I looked at the poster. I was like, nope.
Yeah. But if you look at something like Firefly, speaking because they're talking about bringing the cartoon out, they had their own slang in there, and slang is fine.
Man, I haven't seen that in a while.
But it had context. Like, I didn't know what shiny was until
that's a good one.
A few, yeah.
Yes.
Yep, same thing. Yeah. I didn't know what half of their slang was until a couple of episodes in when it had the context of it. But the point is, it's meant to fit in that world that they're in.
Everything's shiny
Yeah.
in,
I like
in Firefly and Serenity.
And like I'm a
Uh,
big fan of like Avatar: The Last Airbender in a way, like the when they in like the
the
spiritual
cartoon,
world.
yes. The
Yeah, like
cartoon,
in like
yes.
in like the spiritual world. I kind of that was one of my inspirations for Arcfire. Like in issue
There you go.
2, I kind of bring some like spiritual world into it. Slight spoiler, but I don't care. That's fine. But even with the spiritual world, the spiritual because I have a spiritual wolf in my comic, and I have him speak in like a riddle type of way, just because I don't want to because I'm trying to make it where it's like I want you to guess what's going to happen next. So I give you like a riddle to figure out what he's talking about, or like what he's
Mhm.
telling this character that he's talking to.
Yeah.
And so like even like with my elven witches, they speak in like a riddle sort like a riddle too,
There you
but it's a different riddle, not like the wolf riddle, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like yeah, that's I'm
Oh,
like
yeah.
I say it's like Shakespeare, but it's not the like the intense Shakespeare where you don't understand it. It's Shakespeare where you're just, it's like it's Shakespeare where you're wondering what they're saying, and you kind of
Yeah.
like getting like a glimpse of what they're saying, but you're like questions like, okay, what is the next journey, and what is the hidden message in this message they're saying. So that's awesome. Like I'm always trying to challenge my writing, like uh deep dive deeper into like not into something I don't know but I want to figure out, if that makes sense.
Um, Neverending Story, the original movie, did it is a prime example of how to incorporate real world or uh, a person that is speaking our language, and then
Mhm,
the fantasy world still speaking their language.
mhm.
As soon as Bastion went into they didn't start talking like Bastion. They still talked the way that they did, and
Yeah,
I thought it. But
exactly.
so that uh, when you had Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you didn't have all the people talking like Eddie. You still had
Yep,
you still had the cartoon
yep,
talking the way that they did.
yep.
Um, it's totally, I just if you're writing, if you're writing a contemporary novel about bridges of Madison County, then sure, give me all the current lingo all you want, because I know where we're at.
Mhm.
But if you're taking, like I said, if you're taking me to Tatooine, I don't want, no cap, Anakin.
Oh god,
Yeah.
oh,
And I'm not pick. I just pick on Gen Z. Like I said, my son's Gen Z, so I pick on him, and I can.
it's funny, dude. I'm technically Gen Z, but my sister says I'm an honorary millennial because I don't act like the Gen Z of my generation. Oh, I'm
But
saying it's funny.
if you're going to write a Gen Z novel, then that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
don't. I'm not saying don't use Gen Z or Gen. If I write if I write a novel set in the 80s, I'm going to go back to, I still talk like I'm in the 80s, ladies and gentlemen. I say awesome, totally rad, radical. I say that. Then you're going to have that, but you're not going to go back to the 80s and have them talk about things that are happening or how we talk in the 2020s. It's not, that doesn't work. You're going to take me right out of your period piece.
Yeah, and
Right,
it's
Chris?
that's actually funny because I when I'm around people always ask me, I'm sorry, are you sure you're 20s? Because you don't sound like a 20-something-year-old. You sound like you're an old school person. And they always tell me like that you have such an old soul because I don't talk
Yeah,
how my
that's
generation talks. And I was like, I was raised old school, so I'm attracted to old school everything. And I'm
Cowabunga
like,
Dude is actually going to be. Yeah, if I'm writing an 80s novel, Cowabunga Dude is being in there.
I
As a
love
title.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man.
What's up, Chris?
And then like I get asked, I was like, dude, how old are you? I was like, I'm 26. I was like, they're like, are you sure? Because you sound like you're much older. And like and people's like the way you carry yourself, you sound like you're more of a millennial, not a Gen Zer. I was like, well, that's a compliment for me because I don't act like my generation, and I'm glad I don't because I don't relate to them, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I think one of the few that used modern language in a medieval style setting, the best was like The Life of Brian or Holy Grail.
Ah, okay.
Well,
Yours
that
was more
works
modern.
because that's the parody and spoof of it.
Right. And then even though I think it was created in the 80s, the cyberpunk world, created like we were saying, their entire language on what a netrunner is, what a slicer is, what a samurai is. I mean, granted, they pulled from heavily Eastern culture stuff, but it still made it their own. Yes, gag me with a spoon. Nice. You are all that in a bag of chips.
Yes.
Like my mom, I think my mom said that so many times when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
See that I'll take it back to realism again, and then like let's go back to when Philip K. Dick wrote "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?"
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was cyberpunk before cyberpunk was cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's Blade Runner. I mean, for those of you that have Blade Runner
I know Blade Runner. Yeah.
But you could build off of other languages. Another one that kind of worked for me, but it was a modern setting, going back with Romeo, the Romeo and Juliet with the. I'm not a big Leo DiCaprio fan, but that was a decent movie set in a modern time, so I can deal with that.
Oh, I forgot about the movie.
Go ahead, Chris.
Army of Darkness. I don't know why it came into my head, but yeah, when Ash goes back to medieval, he is completely speaking in modern 70s style. But it works because it's Ash. It all depends on if you can make the character believable.
But even they still had a hard time understanding him, and so
they did.
So that's what made it real.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like it's not like, and Ash can do whatever Ash wants to do, and I'll die on that hill, because Bruce Campbell is a icon and the greatest chin in
dude is a freaking legend.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it worked. You're right. It works because they didn't understand him. It's not like they were, and he didn't understand them, and that worked, and I loved it. So yeah, that's a good. You can mix it and match it, but if you're just doing, like I said, this is probably just Dash being oversensitive and but don't like I said, I want to read a fantasy with fantasy language. It doesn't have to be forsooth or art thou and things like that. But it doesn't need to have, like I said, you're not going to have your elven hero riding in saying "Cowabunga, dude." He's just, if he does, I'm going to question your sincerity in writing this book.
I think another thing that helps with dialogue is to understand what are they doing at that time? What's their motivations for? Like now, our motivations are mainly social media stuff, right? But back then, it's day-to-day survival of going out in the fields or going out in the woods hunting and things. That's why Little House on the Prairie wouldn't work for a modern setting, because we just don't have, unless you did, I think there's an apocalypse now. It's Little House on the Prairie and the Apocalypse, which now I need to see. Just
Little House on the barren plains of Australia or something. Yeah.
Little House in the Wasteland. Yeah.
Little House in the Wasteland. Which now that you said it, go write it. You got your notes. Go write it.
And since you speak of fantasy, I know you bought my Arcfire. You'll be shipped out to you soon, so I hope you like my fantasy.
Oh yeah.
I hope you like issue 182.
I shared your. Listen, I love you, Kev. I shared your clown. I can't in good faith buy the clown, but I bought Arcfire. I am excited for Arcfire.
Yeah, I finally got issue 2 printing after a few delays, but it's finally printing. Since you were back, I'm gonna update you right quick. And those that back that, it's finally printing.
No worries.
So it'll be out to the mail soon when I get the inventory.
But it's let me take it back to Chris. Then it would be like Jake Bishop. It'd be like Jake Bishop talking like he's in the 1980s, 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
That would feel weird, wouldn't it? Would it?
Mm-hmm.
I like I said, I want to hear him say, "I'm going to pull my pants up real high, see, and I'm going to take you down to the dock, see, and make you swim with the fishes." That's how I pick. I know he's more than that, but when I first see the cover of that thing, now I've already pictured how Jake Bishop is going to talk.
Hmm.
Ah, yeah.
And so I'm looking at this book called The Fourth Wing, and I'm picturing high fantasy and things like that. And then I get in there and they're like y'all and uh saying things that I say as a Okie, because I think she's from down in this area. So uh
Mm.
and I get it if that's what works. And again, I'm not saying I want to preface this, ladies and gentlemen. If you like that book and you like the way they write it, great. That's your prerogative, and I will never take that away from you. It doesn't work for me.
Mhm.
And go ahead, Chris.
So I was reading. Did you ever hear of Monster Hunter International?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so I was reading that, and they had different types of characters. Like they had garden gnomes, but his name was G Gnome, right? And that's how he talked. But that was their culture was they spoke like that. They had the elves who lived in the Enchanted Forest trailer park, and they were a trailer park princess, that kind of stuff. So they spoke like yo mama, and this is
Yeah. I don't. When I read that, I didn't know how to feel about it at all. If I'm being honest.
You have to. Well, because I think that is. I mean, that's the world he created, and at least he or they, I should
consistent.
say, that's the world they created, and that is. But they let you know that it is a trailer park, or they let you know
Yeah. True. True.
that
Yeah.
it's a different setting than a real fantasy setting.
True.
Like if you're gonna write Harry Potter, who's stuck in Dukes of Hazzard time, I would expect Harry Potter to say, "Get a boss, huh?" Something like that. I would totally get
Yeah.
it, but I mean, contradictory. If it, so it works, and I think the hardest thing to deal with is my wife staring me down right now. Oh, what example? Wild Wild West with Will Smith.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But that that was a
Will
for
Smith is
lack
like
of
Vin Diesel.
well, that was for lack of better term because it was based off the original television show that came off
Hmm.
in the 60s, I want to say. So it was kind of steampunkish even then. There was technology. I think that they kind of ruined it a little bit with the dialogue because they didn't stick to the original dialogue kind of that they had from the and I get it, you're updating and I'm all for updating at times, not going overboard like we had 20 reboots and we talked about that a couple weeks ago with Ed was
Hmm.
stop rebooting everything. Um, but if you're going, I'm going to say this, and this is where I get all the thumbs down and all the angry faces. Stay true to the source material. Stay true to the source material. I get changes for certain things. I'm not saying that, but uh you're not going to give me Marvel. You're not going to give me Marvel that's going to talk not like superheroes.
And that's the problem with modern Marvel comics as it is they don't do superheroes anymore. Everything is just talking heads, people sitting around a table eating lunch. And
Really?
nobody likes it. Nobody's buying it. Yeah, look at any of the new Spider-Man stuff. It's just people talking. There's
Well,
barely anything going on in them. So I
I
haven't
think majority of your Spider-Man's fans left as soon as they said that.
one more day.
Yeah, since one more. Yeah, literally a lot of Spidey. You lost a lot of Spidey, and then to come back and reiterate, you're never going to get MJ and Spidey back in the comics. That's
That's stupid.
that's way beyond stupid. You have to you
Like you
there
just
is
lost your core fans doing
you have to have
something
you
that
have
stupid
to
decision.
have a balance. You have to have a balance. I understand you're
Yeah.
creating something and it's going to be your vision. Totally get it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. But you also have to listen to the fans and what the fans want. So you have to have that happy medium. If you go all the way, it's my way or the highway, and then the fans leave, you can't get mad at the fans. And in turn, fans, because we do it, I am hugely guilty of it, where I want it Dash's way or no way, and then I get mad at the creator, and I'm like, I'm not. You have to have that happy medium where you put yourself into it as the creator. So if I'm writing Spider-Man, I'm going to put some of my stuff in Spider-Man, but I'm going to stay true to what Stan Lee and them came up with, Ditko, all those fantastic Spider-Man creators. I'm going to listen to what the fans want and try to, at least some way, find a way for. Are you listening to me, Marvel? I know you're watching this prime time show that we're doing here. Get MJ. Listen, I posted it on somebody's post the other day, and I had a shit ton of likes on it, so I know I'm right. Get MJ and Spider-Man back together. That's what the people want, and I don't think it's out of league. Go ahead, Chris.
And a lot of the stories can be written for the time they're in, or else we wouldn't have 60s Adam West Batman, right? But then it was updated with Frank Miller's Dark Knight, and then it gradually morphed, almost merged between the two, where it was super gritty versus fun, but to get to where the Batman is that we have today. And then we have absolute Batman. So it's okay to change and add, like you said, the artist's or the writer's perspective on it. It's just, if it's absolutely garbage and not working, maybe constructive criticism should be listened to in this case. I don't know. Maybe I'm just stupid, but
no, you're not stupid. No, you're. I mean, I think sometimes that you just have to. When people tell you that they don't like the dialogue or they don't like the writing of something, it's not because they're hating. It's if me hating would be Chris gives me the copy of the Little House on the Wastelands, and I go, this sucks. That's hating. That's hating. Constructive criticism is the dialogue feels off from what it could be. The characters seem two-dimensional, especially when you're giving me a television show. The characters need to feel three-dimensional. They should not feel like I'm reading a novel. And there's been a lot of movies where they feel two-dimensional, and so that's constructive criticism. Hate is just your product sucks. Get out. That's hate. That's straight hate. If somebody gives you a reason why they don't like it, you cannot blow it off as hatred. You have to take into consideration. And I've had it. I've had people just come up and straight up say your book sucks, and that's okay. I mean, I don't listen to them, but I've also had people come in and go, "Hey, in chapter 1, Colt did this, and in chapter 5, Colt was way out of his character." That is good criticism. It's negative criticism, but it's good criticism. The problem we have today, I think we don't know the difference between constructive criticism and hatred. And I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you right now, and this goes for anybody that's listening. You can disagree with me if you want, or you can agree. Hatred is somebody just coming in and saying, Hell Comes to Texas sucks. That's hatred. That's not constructive criticism. So I'm very much welcome to any kind of criticism, even if you say it sucks. I'll acknowledge you. I won't take it to heart, but I'll acknowledge you. Might be with a middle finger or something, but but that's the problem with today. When I think a lot of people on the grand spectrum of things, when we're talking, especially when we're talking about IPs that we love, you have to be able to be open to, if someone says that they don't like the dialogue, they may absolutely not like the dialogue. They may absolutely not like the way that the story was written. I've written a lot of crap in my life, a lot of crap, but I've written a lot of good stuff too. And I'm sure all of us have done that. So
yeah, one of the good stuff right here.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that's crap. But
yo, this is not crap, man. This is freaking awesome. Come on now.
You just have to. you have to listen. And I think as a society, we've lost the listening part of our uh, society, and we've gone to straight everything is emotional. Everything is
That's
emotion.
true.
I get, man. You and I have had this talk, or I've talked about the upcoming the upcoming Marvel movie, the
Doomsday?
Avengers. I when I'm talking about it, I talk about it from I love movies. I am a huge movie
Same.
buff. I write about movies all the time. Go check my page. I'm writing about movies or something of that nature. I am when I say that I have a feeling it's going to flop. I don't mean in a way that is demeaning to it. I'm going to say this right now.
That's.
You
I mean,
have
I remember that because I commented. I'm saying, "What do you mean flopping?" And you actually explained
got,
it. I was like,
you got 50 stars. I kid you not. You probably have 50 stars
and maybe
in this
more,
movie.
maybe
And
more.
you have to pay every one of those stars, and you have to get every one of those stars in there. And at that point, when you start paying, when you pay those, now you've just taken your billion that you probably are going to make. You're definitely going to make $1 billion off the
Right.
Avengers Doomsday.
The question
now
is
you
that
turned it-
enough?
You've turned it to a $2 billion movie because of the people that you have in there, the CGI that you're most definitely going to have to use. So that, and believe it or not, that is how we as a society judge movies, is by how much money it makes.
That's true. That is
We
true.
do. We don't. I mean, I love. There's. Chris and I were talking about this backstage. There's tons of movies I love that people dog on all the time. I love
Same.
them. Are they cheesy? 100%.
Yeah.
100% they're cheesy. The dialogue is horrible. I can admit that the dialogue is horrible, but I can still love it. But it was still a flop.
Yeah.
And so when people, I guess, I'm Chris, go ahead. I'm getting a little verklempt here.
Wow, there's been a lot.
Spot.
So I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
When you speaking of movies, like recently, recent Scream 7 just came out. I've seen so many people trashing it. Talking about it's trash, it sucks, but they don't give proper criticism. Like I don't listen, but I don't listen to those type of people. So I went and saw it myself.
And
Did
it's
I
not
like
dope.
it? Yes and no. but it's because they went the route I expected they was going to go. So I was like, it was predictable. So I didn't really like it. And then the reveal I felt was a bit off, and it didn't feel like it was really top notch or anything. Like the reveal just felt weak. It was just like they just put those people there and just, hey, I'm the killer. That's just how it felt. Like it didn't feel like it was no build up to those killers. And then I was like, but I was I guess the dynamic of Sydney and her daughter was pretty cool. And like,
what movie was this?
Scream 7. The Scream.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet. So
yeah.
okay,
So, well, sorry, but
no,
it's just.
you're good.
Well,
Keep
I was
going.
just saying, I was like, I see so many people trashing somebody sucks, like it's trash, but I don't listen to those people, so I went to see it myself.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's the
I was
only
like,
way you do it.
yeah, I was like, does it? I'm like, it felt to me, it felt like the story was weak in a way, and the dialogue it felt too Gen Z at moments, if I'm being honest. But at the same time, it's in modern day, so it makes sense. And then I feel like the reveal was entirely just random, and it didn't feel like it was really. I can't really find the right word. It just didn't really feel like it was the proper killers, if that makes sense.
That's your honest opinion. That's a good opinion.
Like it just felt like I was like but I knew I had a feeling they was going to go the route they did, so I was correct, which was sad because I predicted the entire movie that was going to happen.
Well,
especially when they. But they are
pretty predictive, anyways. Let's
right, but they also kind of left me open to interpretation with slight spoiler with Stu, because if you pay attention to a certain video in the movie and another video is like two different videos, so it's kind of like they still got it open, thinking that Stu could potentially still be alive somehow. So I was like, so it's kind of like it's interesting, but I was like, is this the best one? Hell no. But it just felt like it felt off, and it felt very rushed in my opinion.
One will always be the best. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
So that got me wondering. Maybe about another topic for a future one. When do we know that a series should end?
Oh,
Right? How do we
Ooh.
properly end one?
Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. I mean, let's just
But
kidding.
that's the thing. You see so many.
I dislike that movie so much. I only liked it when they connected it like part 7 or 8, whatever number it was. I'm like, oh, that's why you put it there. But you could have revealed that a long time ago. But okay. But yeah.
Yeah, but you see so many that go on beyond what they like. What are there 12 or 37 different Saw movies? How many of them do you
I
need?
don't
Or-
I don't
or-
even know, but for some reason I watch all of them. I don't know why, but I just still watch
Well,
all of them.
I can tell you, Star Wars should have ended at Revenge of the Sith.
Mhm.
Star Trek should have ended with Deep Space Nine.
Transformers should have ended at the cartoon.
Well,
Well, I like Bumblebee.
while I
like
just
Bumblebee.
while I don't like certain things Michael Bay does, I will always be a Transformer fan. No, but I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, sometimes it's
Don't
just
get me wrong, I
cartoon
like the
cartoon.
movies, but I just feel like it shouldn't go as far as it's gone so far. But I like the Bumblebee one.
Well, look
the,
at
Rise of the Beast.
something like Spawn. I don't know if you've read current issues of Spawn.
I have not. I saw
Don't
the
bother.
1990 movie.
The current
about-
Spawn
I don't-
is lacking what
It-
original Spawn definitely had.
really.
Yeah, it's convoluted, and they're just doing things to stretch out the story.
Oh god.
So
Okay.
how do you know then when it's time? And I know when I already have an ending planned for mine. So how do you know when it's time? And that'll be a good one for another show.
We'll put that down.
How do you
I
know
will
when it's time to shut it down?
I will say and just to sum it, I think too many drag it on longer than it should, but that goes back to the originality. That goes back to the cash cow. You just got to know when to stop, and
Yep.
it's just like again, we're bringing back 20. That's for another show, but 20 different reboots of 70s and 80s and 90s shows that probably should just stay dead. Just if you could have, we all as creators, I mean, originality as far as how stories go are slim for us to take from. I totally get that. You can still have the same premise and not call it Magnum PI or not call it they're getting ready to do Baywatch. Do Surf and Turf.
Yeah, why
I don't
the heck
care.
are they doing another freaking Baywatch? Come on,
Buffy the Vampire Slayer just made the right call by not going back or not going through with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because I think
Hulu just canceled that. Yeah.
This is just a dash opinion. This doesn't reflect anybody else. I think you lose the magic if you bring back Buffy and the Vampire. You could write books about it all day long. Perfect. I'm fine with that. But you're not going to have the God. Spike is 90 years old in real life by now, probably. So I think just and you don't have to have Buffy Jr. either. You just call it something else. You can still have a Slayer and change up aspects of what you don't have to have all the magic that Buffy had. You don't have to have witches. Just make it a straight up Slayer movie. Like
you can extend the universe. You don't have to reboot the same thing.
Right. Ryan Coogler took the Blade script and turned it into Sinners.
And made it his own thing. Hell yeah.
Made it his own thing. I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to bring in the next Blade. You don't have to bring in Blade, Lady Blade, or Blade Jr. or Grandpa Blade. Which, you can bring Grandpa Blade because I love Wesley Snipes, so bring Grandpa Blade back. You don't have to do that, and that's I think that's the limit. If you have to bring in somebody else to do bringing it back around to what you said, and we can really get into it on another show. I think that's where you quit, is if you have to bring in somebody to carry on the name, because It's just that's me. That's a Dash thing. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, and I think the only one that really, I mean, I hate Rocky. I'm going to say that I hate the Rocky movies. But I know,
Sacrilege.
But I
I'm
think
wearing
they-
Rocky's hoodie right now.
but I think they did it right with Creed. Then they extended it.
Okay,
too
you're
far.
forgiven. You're forgiven.
But you're right because it's not
But it's-
Rocky.
Yeah,
They
it's not
took the
Rocky. It's-
formula
yeah.
though, continued the universe with a different, and I think they could
Yeah.
do it with Blade if they brought Wesley Blade into the current MCU to where he found Eric Brooks, as a younger, and then Wesley Blade became Whistler to that Blade.
I agree with that. I can
Yeah,
I can absolutely
that's
agree
that's
with that.
very creative. That's
But we
really
don't.
creative,
But
yeah.
we don't need Demolition Man 2. The difference is because the other stories can work in the modern times. Like Creed can work modern, so can the other Blade. But Demolition Man 2, they already said everything in the first one.
Wait, they're doing a part 2?
They're talking of Demolition Man 2. Yeah,
Why?
exactly.
They gotta tell us what the shells mean finally.
Probably. As long as Rob Schneider's in it, I'm good.
Yeah, you're right as far as the way that they could do it. You're right. I agree. Like they did it the right way with Creed and Rocky. Rocky is the mentor now. They didn't go Rocky Junior. They didn't go Rocky Junior.
True.
They went Creed.
And
Now
now
you can tell a whole. You get to tell a. While you
Whole
still keep
different
the
story,
tone of
yeah.
the movie, you're telling a whole different story.
Mhm.
It might have the same formula, but
Right.
Well, it's a different character.
Apollo or Adonis went through some shit that Rocky didn't, and vice
Yeah.
versa.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're doing a John Rambo prequel, and Sylvester Stallone's producing it now.
Well, he's producing it, and here's my only issue. Here's my only issue with that is the Vietnam War now is so far removed. Not that you can't do not that you can't do Vietnam movies. You totally can.
Yeah.
But it's so it's so far removed from us that it's going to feel weird if you go from the prequel then going into watching. That's why I really sometimes wish while I love Star Wars, I wish he would have started with 1. I wish he would have started with Phantom Menace because you have Star Wars through Return of the Jedi, and you have certain CGs and aircraft, and they look old. And then you go to Phantom Menace, Clone Wars, and Revenge of the Sith. Everything looks cool and updated, and you're like, why did you go from these cool X-wing type aircraft to these crappy X-wing type aircraft?
I'm gonna say I understand this is a me thing, okay, and I can't stand prequels because I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Anakin's in it. There's no threat. He's not gonna die. We know when Obi-Wan dies, he can fight as many other things as he wants. Nothing's
There's no
gonna happen.
danger. There's no danger for us.
Yeah,
And
that's one of the things I don't like so much about prequels and that kind of thing.
that's my
Well,
only. I'm looking for. Don't get
I-
me wrong. I'm looking forward to Rambo the prequel. I am. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
But I lose because I know they're making movies for newer audiences. Totally get it. Totally get it. But for me, I will probably enjoy it, but I'm going to lose a little bit of what I loved about Rambo, and then First Blood Part 2, and then we can about Rambo First Blood Part 3.
Yeah. Wait until you see Gone Hunting, the novel. You think it's about no, you don't know. You're gonna like it.
Yeah.
I already got it plotted, dude. I already got it
Talking
plotted.
about-
Oh snap!
So I mean, yeah, that all makes.
Yeah.
But to get back to dialogue and for military stuff, because we went off on a long tangent there.
Sorry.
I gave you no, you're good. That's
That
what I love
usually
about the show.
happens
This
with
yeah.
his friends together talking. That usually happens.
That's the best thing about this show is the tangents, because I
Uh.
guarantee you there's some people that got hella ideas out of in there. I use some millennial language right there.
Word.
Just be true to be true to your characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's the if I gave you step 1 and 2, that's the prologue. Be true to your characters. And then as far as realism goes, with military, if you're what time frame are we in? Are we back in the past time frame? Are we in the 90s, 2000s? Are we 50 years in the future? If we're 50 years in the future, you can have them talk. Give them some 50 years in advance language. We may say we might go back to the third. I'm just kidding, but kind of upgrade your language a little bit. Maybe they're not going to say stuff that the Gen Xers and the Vietnam era soldiers said. So make sure you're. To me, this is me as a military person. What I would look for is make sure your military guys talk in the time frame that they're in. And yes, a lot of
for this story, it is in a modern day era.
There you go.
But you see his backstory from the past and what he dealt with.
That's perfect. And yes, there's still going to be slang from the 70s and 60s and even from World War II that we still use because that's just the way the military works. Don't overuse jargon. Don't overuse.
Okay.
Don't overuse. Roger that. Don't overuse. Frosty. Don't.
5 by 5.
5. Yeah. Don't overuse those terms. Like if they're on the radio, over and out is fine every time they're on the radio because
I think I did like Roger like one time. When I barely do Roger that. I just say Roger. That's about it.
Roger's cool. Roger that is probably an okay thing to say for a couple times, but every time, if you've got like for me, if you've got a squad that you're working with, if you've got 4 or 5 people, fire team squad, whatever.
Yeah.
Not everybody's, like Zorro never said the same thing twice. I don't think he always had a smart ass quip. Now he might say boss a lot, or he might say that. That's just him. But don't overuse sir. And some people will say, rank means something. It does if you're in a straight up Vietnam or World War II kind of scenario. You're going, when you're getting, if you're probably dealing with like a little 4-man, 5-man special team. Rank don't mean shit.
Okay.
If you're in the thick of things, and I will argue that, and anybody who wants to come in and argue that with me, they'll know I'm telling the truth. Rank don't mean shit. You may say it if at the beginning, if they're standing there in front of the general that's sending them off to do their mission.
Yeah.
Rank means something, but as soon as they get out there, it's either they're going by, like my guys had code names, so they went by the code names. They didn't go by rank. Don't overplay the rank either. I think one time, if you go back to Predator, I think one time they called Dutch Major. And I think one time he called Max Sergeant. That was it. They didn't overplay the rank.
Him out.
Yeah, that was to snap him out of something. They didn't overplay the rank. So don't overplay the rank because we already know. If you say, I got Captain James Archer Bowman, I already know he's a captain. I don't have to, and maybe because you'll go back when you get into Apex headquarters, they'll say he might call him captain every once in a while, but don't overplay that. So that's a step that and I'll send them all to you again.
Sure.
Don't downplay the military. If you're writing, and what I mean by that is how you feel about the military is how you feel about the military. That's fine. But if your goal is to get military people to read your book, the first thing that will get them to not read your book is to downplay the job that they're doing. Which I'm not saying you're going to do. I'm just saying these are the things that you wanted me to make it. And don't make them all happy-go-lucky, or don't make them all sad. Have them have different.
It's going to be a mixture. Yeah, it's going to be mixture of personalities. Yeah,
the personalities are no different than if you were sitting there with 5 of your friends. Because I guarantee you, if you're sitting there with 5 of your friends, all of them have a different personality.
Oh yeah,
that's the way. That's the way that your team should be. You should have the smart ass. You should have the smart guy. You should have the guy who thinks he's the leader, but he's not the leader. Just those are all the types of things that you want to have.
And also, I actually have veterans in my family too.
There
So
you
that's
go.
also because and like my uncles, they passed away a couple years ago, but each one have different
Oh yeah.
personalities. So yeah, I understand him completely. I don't know, I forget what position they were in, but I know I think they was in different ones. I think one was in the army, the other was in the navy, and the other was in the marines. So I mean, I have
So
veterans in my family.
if you have and trust me on this, if you have a Marine and a Navy person there, your Marine person will always call the Navy guy a squid. He will
Okay.
call him a squid. They because that's the and they're going to call the Air Force guy Chair Force or
Careful.
Zoomy or
And
something
I,
like that.
and I have a cousin that's been in the Air Force. So
I get
yeah.
I get called Chair Force all the time, even though I didn't. I was a military police and worked other stuff. I
Oh
never
wow.
sat. I never sat in a chair. I can tell you that right now. Okay, never sat in a chair. Go ahead,
Oh
Chris.
wow. Okay.
I think if you want to do a decent example of the military kind of dialogue, look at maybe Starship Troopers. If you want a bad example, look at Doom with The Rock in them because they just do it
I've
so
seen
horribly.
both of those, but I'm definitely going to watch Starship Troopers again. It's been a while.
Starship Troopers is a very good example.
Yeah. Man, I ain't
Modern
seen that in a forever. So thanks for reminding me of that movie. I love that movie.
modern one. A couple. I think a couple people brought up Terminal List.
Yeah.
I,
So
wa- I
watch
I'm watching that show right now.
watch some modern. Watch some. Go back to Saving Private Ryan. Go back to
Oh, I love that movie.
Platoon. Go back to some of those. Watch those. And
Oh
then I
yeah.
mean, again, you don't have to watch the whole movie. There's plenty of clips
Hmm.
on YouTube that you don't have to watch the whole movie. Just listen to some of the clips, um, and just make sure if you're describing their uniforms, be spot on, or I will come and get you. Because the movies never get their uniforms right, and it drives me nuts.
Oh
There's
wow.
there,
Oh
I,
yeah.
as far as I know, there's no rule. As far as I know, there is no written rule that says the uniform cannot be uh, right in movies. I have never seen that rule.
I know there is with police because they can't show the actual
Right,
symbols and everything, but
right.
Right,
But
right.
if you're doing Vietnam or stuff like that, there's no to the best of my knowledge, and I've done some research, and uh, I don't think there's any rule that says your uniform, their major badge has to be upside down or their ribbons have to be all
mm,
discombobulated.
Mm,
I don't think you're going that as far as where they're not going to be wearing ribbons in the field. So that's not something you have to worry about. But don't have them wearing, uh, don't have a Marine wearing Army uniform, and don't have an Air Force guy wearing
doing any work. What? Oh,
yes, yes, because we don't have an Air Force guy wearing navy whites. You know what I'm saying?
gotcha. Okay.
Because there was a Russell Crowe movie not too long ago where uh, they were flying drones or something, and they were Air Force, but they all had Army rank. They all had the Army insignias on, and it drove me bonkers. So,
Oh
but
my
I
God.
think you're good. I think if you follow, you just follow the way that you normally write, and you watch some clips and things like that. I don't think you're going to offend any military person. I think your dialogue will be spot on. And again, like you said, you can send me you can send me.
Yeah,
You don't have to send.
I'm
You
gonna
don't have
send
to
you
send
the
me the
rough
whole book, but you
drafts.
can send me some conversations here and there that you have
No, I'm
questions.
gonna send you the whole rough draft of the script because I
All
want
right.
your full opinion on it,
Okay.
on the story and everything. So
I'm
I'm
good
see
with that.
once I finish the full rough draft, I'm gonna send it over to you and get your thoughts on it.
All right. Well, we got to get going here. Uh, we got other shows on the madness to come up. But before we go, Kevin, you got anything to promote?
Not at the moment. Halloween didn't fun, but that's completely fine. I'm going to relaunch it at a later date, and re-strategize and get some more done at that. Um, but you can find me on my canvaside.com website. You can see everything I do. At Instagram, I am Cam Davis Official. Facebook, I am Cam Davis CEO.
There you
So
go.
yeah.
And then I'm gonna promote Chris here real quick, like just like this. Watch. Wrong. Boo, 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 boo. If you don't, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't hum that through your house while you're doing housework, I question your sanity.
You're boring if you don't do that. So
And that's Jake Bishop. Still going, right?
4 days.
4 days left on Jake Bishop. Go to Backer Kit right now. And back.
and now the beat is in my head, so I'm keen to
Oh,
the answer now.
And go to Amazon, get the Welcome to Slaughterville's, all the Slaughterville novels,
And get the Hybrids book by Dash.
and get the hybrid. But
With Colt Windsor 2 coming in next month.
yeah, Colt Windsor 2, The Hell Comes to Texas, The Hand of the Devil will be April 28th.
I have to get the other book, Texas one. I have to get that one.
You get that one. Yeah, but the stakes are higher. We have some new players in the game there, and if you like fairy tales, I'm going to say this book is for you. So until then, we'll be back next week with the girls. We'll be reviewing our most recent read. I've got to promote it, or they'll get mad at me. If you guys like reading, we're reading A Magic Deep and Drowning by Hester Fox. That'll be our monthly read. The girls and I'll be back next Sunday for that. Then Chris and I will be back on the 29th with Doc Blaylock. We'll talk some noir.
And you're on my
detective
show this
stuff.
Friday.
Yes, I am on your show this Friday on the 20th. I can't wait. I'll be sitting down, and Kev gets to ask me all the questions.
I get to pick his brain.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so we'll be back for that. Until then, I'm going to close this out with Kazoo, and we will see you guys on the next show.
Coming to Kalamazoo, an event so epic that it must be seen to be believed. A celebration so grand it spans 3 days. Kalamazoo Comic-Con. Join us April 10th through 12th, 2026 at the Kalamazoo Expo Center, 2900 Lake Street, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Doors open Friday from noon to 7 p.m., Saturday 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Meet legendary comic guests like Andrew Petboy, Bart Sears, Bob Hall, Corinne Roberts, Dan Monroe, Danica Davidson, Paul D. Story, Randy Zimmerman, Roger Schultz, Scott Prosema, and Tim Seeley. They're all ready to sign, sketch, and share stories from your favorite comics. And that's not all. Rub shoulders with other special guests, including Blake Foster from Power Rangers, Daniel Logan from Star Wars, Hunter Dino from Power Rangers Dino Fury, Jason Douglas, the voice of Attack on Titan, Megan Shipman from My Hero Academia, Morgana Ignis from Hell of a Boss, Natalie Von Sistine from Dan to Dan, Tiffany Vollmer from Dragon Ball, Young Ye from Like a Dragon, Georgina Leahy, Christina Gailey, Christine McCulfer, Jesse Milo Miles, Kristen Simmons, and the amazing Pink Opal cosplay. Dive into non-stop activities, thrilling panels and Q&As, autograph sessions, photo ops with stars, a massive exhibit hall packed with comics, merch, and collectibles, artist alley showcases, epic cosplay contests, gaming tournaments, kids zones for family fun, and so much more to geek out over. Don't miss this ultimate celebration of comics and pop culture. Grab your tickets now at grcomiccon.com. Prices start low with 3-day passes for the full adventure. We'll see you there, heroes.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The Kalamazoo Comic Con. Go check out all your favorite stars. Go support your indie authors at these fine Comic Cons. They need your help. They need your support. Till then, thanks again, Kevin, for joining
thanks,
us. We'll
man.
see you on Friday.
Yes,
And
sir.
until then, this has been a dash of reading, and we'll see you on the next show.
Yeah.
If you missed the live viewing of any Meg production, you can find all our content on Roku or as a member of this channel. Madness Entertainment Group.